Everybody, and welcome you to the September 10th, 2024 meeting of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners. So today our schedule is a little different because we have an event we have to be at. So we are just going to open our meeting and go into exec session. But the first thing we're going to do is pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the next item is to approve the agenda as presented. Are there any additions or corrections?
I have none. I make a motion, we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
A motion and a second that we approve the agenda as submitted. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The only public service announcement I have today is we want to pass along our condolences to the Daniel D.O. Baker family. Mr. Baker was very active in the community, was a founding member of the St. Lawrence Volunteer Fire Department, served as a state trooper. D.O. did a lot of things, so we want to make sure we pass along our condolences to his family.
He was a great man.
And that viewing is today at the St. Lawrence Volunteer Fire Department.
Need a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we recess to closed session pursuant to Section 3-305B7 to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and 8 to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation.
Second.
A motion and a second that we go into executive session. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chair would entertain a motion.
Yes, okay, here we go. I call to order the continuation of the September 10th open meeting of the board, and note for the record that there is a quorum present.
Second.
Have a motion to reopen our public meeting. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well, thank you. Good morning, everybody, again. First item on the agenda is a proclamation, Commissioner Rosso, and I think we have some participants in the audience.
Yes.
If you ladies would like to come forward, please, and introduce yourselves.
Thank
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Dr. Kathleen Miller. I'm the regent of the John Hanson chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, which is located in Prince Frederick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Linda Springfield, I'm the chair of the Constitution Week Committee.
Carol Ruckert, I'm the chaplain of the John Hanson chapter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, thank you all for being here, and you can stand against here. There
Don't worry
you
about
go.
blocking us.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you a card, and I'm going to ask one of you to please give me a call, because this will jump me into gear to become a member of DAR. My family goes back to a land grant in the 1600s on the eastern shore, the Emory's, E-M-R-Y, and Emory University, that's my family. And my husband is so mad at me that he has done all the research and I've not moved forward. So if you all would make me,
We do.
Can I have her phone number, please?
have all the information. We have lots of people to help.
and my husband will be so happy. And I can go home and get tremendous brownie points today, for sure. Well, thank you all for being here, and I'd like to read this proclamation. Whereas September 17, 2024 marks the 236th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document, its memorable anniversary and the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. And whereas the mission of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution is to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism. And whereas the John Hanson chapter of the National Society of Daughters of the American Revolution promotes these principles in our community through participation in citizenship and patriotic events. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County that the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2024, be known as Constitution Week. Be it further proclaimed that by this action we urge all citizens to study the U.S. Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibility which that privilege involves. Given under our hand and seal this 10th day of September 2024, signed by all 5 county commissioners.
Thanks for that. You're welcome. Morning, by the way, guys. Good morning. All right. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Who would like to speak?
Dr. Miller's on the spot.
Thank you very much for this proclamation. We'll take it to our meeting, which is on September 21st. And we also have a display about the Constitution in the library that anyone can obviously go and visit. We're very proud to be Daughters of the American Revolution. Basically, you probably all know, but to be in the DAR, you have traced your lineage to an individual who has contributed or fought in the American Revolution. And in fact, they didn't have to be a soldier. A lot of people think it had to be someone who fought. It had to be someone who contributed to the effort, even by paying their taxes or contributing to providing food for the troops. And so it's a wonderful organization, and we're so blessed to be so close to Washington, D.C., because the national headquarters in D.C. is absolutely wonderful, has a great museum, and basically we've been here in Calvert County since, this is our 40th anniversary year, actually, for the John Hanson chapter. And thank you very much for this recognition and
Absolutely.
opportunity.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. You did excellent. And just wanted to, for the people listening that don't know what your organization does or stands for, just
So
thought
it's
it
a
was an
service
opportunity.
organization. So we do a lot with veterans, visiting Charlotte Hall and supporting veterans in any way we can, but it's service.
Good.
It's important. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for what you do. So the next item on the agenda, we have some appointments today. Madam Deputy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Turner, Deputy County Administrator. There are several appointments for your consideration this morning. The first is Animal Matters Hearing Board. Staff recommends you reappoint Helen Prince. After this appointment, there will be no vacancies remaining.
I move that we reappoint Helen Prince.
Second.
A motion and a second to reappoint Helen Prince. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next is the Employee Recognition Committee. Staff recommends you appoint Sarah Frey to this committee. Following this appointment, there will be 3 vacancies.
I move that we reappoint Sarah Frey to the ERC.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that we appoint Sarah Frey to the ERC. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next is the Animal Shelter Advisory Board. Staff recommends you appoint John Tross to the board. Following this appointment, there will be 3 vacancies remaining.
I move that we appoint John Tross to the Animal Shelter Advisory Board.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to appoint John Tross to the Animal Shelter Advisory Board. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good morning, Commissioners. Emily Shreves, Temporary Constituent Services Specialist. I am back today to talk about the Student Safety and Wellbeing Advisory Committee, as well as to recommend a motion to appoint members to the committee. I ask that we forego the reading of the memo and move right into the appointments.
That's fine.
Okay. I'll take a brief moment to talk about our process again, so everybody is familiar. Staff received 42 applications from Districts 1, 2, and 3 residents. After a panel comprised of staff from the Office of the County Administrator, Community Resources, Calvert County Public Schools, and the Sheriff's Office graded applications, this panel interviewed the top scoring candidates from each district. Additionally, we received candidate recommendations from 6 recommending bodies, which will be highlighted in the recommendations today that have seats on the committee. So staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners make a motion to appoint the following individuals to the Student Safety and Wellbeing Advisory Committee. Dana Jones as chair of the committee, Guy Stevens and Leslie Irvin as District 1 representatives, Brandon Temple and Deborah Harris as District 2 representatives, Marcus Newsom and Sinitra Bowdry as District 3 representatives, Jason Oates as the Calvert Education Association representative, Kadisha Pledger as the Calvert Association of Educational Support Staff representative, First Sergeant Vincent O'Donnell and Corporal Nick DeFelice as the Sheriff's Office representatives, Sergeant Kemery Hunt as the Maryland State Police representative, Caitlin Liptak as the Mental Health and Wellbeing Professional representative, Denise Dickerson as the Substance Abuse Treatment Professional representative, and finally, Joseph Pignataro as the Maryland Center for School Safety representative.
I move that we appoint the applicants and chair as presented by the Deputy County Administrator.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation of the staff. Is there any discussion on that motion? No. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Just want to thank you all for taking the time. I know it was a pretty big task to get through all these applications, and, you know, school started, and there's already been a few issues, so hopefully they can hit the ground running and make some decisions and make things, make some changes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Emily.
Thank you for your hard work.
So the next item on the agenda is consent. We have several items under consent today. Item 1, Economic Development Budget Amendment for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development Project Restore 2.0 Grant Award Agreement. Item 2, Coward County Sheriff's Office Budget Amendment for the Grant Award for State Fiscal Year 2025 Community Grant Program Fund. Item 3, Coward County Sheriff's Office Budget Amendment for the Grant Award for State Fiscal Year 2025 Local Warrant Apprehension and Absconding Grant Program. Item 4, Department of Planning and Zoning Grant Award and Budget Amendment for Capital Project CIP 000300 Water Quality Monitoring. Are there any objections to the items listed under consent today?
I have
Mr.
none.
President, I move that we adopt and approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we approve and adopt the items listed under consent today. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is new business. First item under new business is Office of the County Administrator, status of negotiations with Cove Point LNG. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Good. Ashley Staples Reed, Special Projects Program Manager. Today we are going to be talking about the pilot agreement that we have for Cove Point. I do have a memo as well as a presentation. We do have representatives from Cove Point that can join us after the presentations in case you have any questions for them. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with the memo. So for background, Cove Point LNG, the first liquefied natural gas export facility on the East Coast located in Lusby, Maryland, is owned and operated by the Cove Point LNG LP, a Delaware limited partnership, which is a subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway Energy. The facility is located on approximately 1,000 acres of land, has a storage capacity of 14.6 billion cubic feet, and a daily send-out capacity of 1.8 billion cubic feet. Its ability to perform all the functions of an LNG facility, including import, export, vaporization, and sent out of liquefaction, makes it unique among U.S. LNG terminals. Discussion. BHE has offered a payment in lieu of taxes agreement of $60 million annually for the 2023 to 2038 tax year period, which would expire on June 30th, 2039. A section has been incorporated into the pilot to automatically renew for an additional 5 years unless either party notifies the other of their intention not to renew. For the tax year 2023, BHE has paid their assessed amount of $58,690,160.73 to the county. If the proposed pilot is approved, BHE will pay an additional $1,309,863.27 to align with the terms of the pilot. If automatically renewed, then the pilot payments shall continue to apply to each subsequent year in the same amount as in the effect for the year preceding the renewal. Fiscal impact. Revenue as prescribed by the pilot, and so long as the state wealth formula remains unchanged from its last revision in 2018, the pilot revenue will not be included in the calculation of the county's wealth. Conclusion and recommendation. Staff requests that the board consider the proposed pilot agreement with BHE and if appropriate, authorize the president to sign on behalf of the board. And so quick presentation. So I did want to start off with just a little bit of history as well as just some raw data as it dates back for 2013. So entering the original pilot that we had with Cove Point a number of years ago. So just to recap, in June of 2013, the Maryland General Assembly authorized the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County to enter into a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with the owner of a facility for the liquefaction of natural gas. So once that authority was obtained in November of 2013, the BOCC did hold a public hearing and received public comment and then approved a local ordinance to exercise that authority. And then subsequently we assigned a pilot agreement with Dominion at the time, but Cove Point LNG, The BOCC approved a 5-year pilot followed by a 9-year tax credit. And the pilot and the tax credit are outlined as below. The pilot did provide a one-time payment of $25 million at the start of the pilot, with an annual $15.1 million on the then existing natural gas import equipment, and then provided, as you see in that table below, an annual amount for the expansion property. And then after that 5-year period, which did end June 30th, 2023, there was a tax credit which provided a 42% tax credit on new and repurposed equipment for 9 years. So with the pilot expiring, it was set to expire on the June 30th of 2023. The county requested an assessment of the property with the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. And I do want to note here that SDOT does not do assessments on property when it is in a pilot agreement. There's no need to, because there's no need to assess its value when there's already a fixed rate with the pilot agreement. However, with this pilot, we did have a clause in there saying that SDOT could do an assessment upon request. So we did put in that request. In tandem to that request, the BOCC at the time had also instructed staff to do outside consulting to get a consultant to do an independent assessment of the property as well. Consultants were vetted over the summer of 2021, and then a contract was signed with George E. Sansucci, PE LLC, in November of 2021. We worked with Cove Point in order to get some vital data in order for them to do their independent assessment. Cove Point was very forthcoming. We did have to sign an NDA, but they did also acquire information with FERC and U.S. Department of Transportation in order to come up with their assessment. They did have an assessment that did come back. There was some discrepancy and some discussion in regards to what the county thought the value was and what Cove Point thought the value was in regards to the Sansucci report. So unfortunately, we did not come to an agreement on that assessment by the expiration of the pilot, which was June 30th, 2023. After that expiration period, the SDOT did do an assessment. And the county did request an administrative hearing to review that assessment that we had gotten back from SDOT on September 27th. The assessment that Cove Point was assessed at by SDOT was $4,285,158,050. SDOT did conduct a hearing on December 11th, 2023, with the county arguing Sansucci's assessment, which was $8 billion, and Cove Point not objecting to SDOT's assessment, but to the county's position. SDOT did render an opinion in April of 2024, which increased the assessment of the Cove Point facility by 9.35% to $4.6 billion. The county noted an appeal of that decision to the Dax Court of Maryland and has received a trial date for October 2025. Both SDOT and Cove Point have entered their appearance in this case to oppose the county's position that the facility is substantially undervalued by assessment. So that's where we're really at right now in regards to the assessment. Now to pivot from that a little bit, what has happened as a result of the pilot expiring? So the main thing that has happened is our impact to the wealth formula. So the Maryland State Department of Education, in coordination with Department of Budget Management and the Department of Legislative Services, calculates, distributes, and monitors state aid for local jurisdictions in their school systems. When our pilot agreement was signed in 2023, Maryland's system for funding education was based on full-time equivalent student enrollment and local wealth, which was meant the sum of net taxable income, 100% of the assessed value of the operating real property of public utilities, 40% of the assessed value of all other real property, and 50% of assessed value of personal property. So the county's wealth did not include amounts paid under the pilot because those are exempt from taxation and are not assessed so long as the agreements are in place. So that goes back to where our pilot had expired and we did not have a renewal in place. That impacted our wealth. So operating real property of a public utility subject to tax credit, however, is assessed and subject to taxation. So the county's assessed value of operating real property of a public utility went from $25,474 for July 1, 2022, the year before the pilot had expired, to $409,669 for July 1st, 2023. And again, that was due to the pilot expiring and converting to a tax credit. As a result, SDOT's 2023 assessment of the operating real property of a utility, 22.6 million was cut in state aid for education, which is a 20% decrease in state aid, which we have talked continuously in open sessions regarding that cut and how to recoup that. So the conclusion and recommendation truly is there's no assurance that we are going to get that $22 million cut back. But a pilot agreement is the best option in regards to saving our wealth formula and deferring continued cuts to state aid when it comes to education. That's all I have. Happy to take
Any
questions.
questions of Ashley? So either one or both of you want to come up and say anything?
I did warn them that you would call on them.
Of course. They're our partners. Do you want to introduce yourselves? We know who you are, but everybody watching might not, so.
Sure, good morning. I'm Danny Woods. I'm the Vice President of LNG Operations for Cove Point LNG.
Good morning, I'm George Janis, Director of External Affairs, Berkshire Hathaway Energy GTNS.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you. And appreciate the presentation and certainly proud to be in this community as a resident of Calvert County. Certainly proud what Cove Point LNG does each day. Certainly we continue to export clean energy around the world. We've actually delivered to over 30 different countries, reducing air emissions, millions of tons of air emissions throughout the world, and just happy to have that in our backyard as a Calvert County resident, and certainly the benefits of that, shown in this presentation, and looking forward to the continued partnership here with the county and our organization.
Well, we appreciate the jobs you provide and the tax revenue that you provide to the counties. And I want to thank you for the negotiations. It took a lot of time and effort on both our parts. And I was always told a successful negotiation is when either party gets everything they want. So this was a successful negotiation. And just for those out there listening, have been concerned about what we're doing in negotiations, we did have an NDA we weren't allowed to talk about. We don't negotiate in public, so until this point, we really couldn't talk about a lot of things. And I can't get this frog out of my throat. But anyway, I think that we came to a final conclusion that meets both of our needs. Neither of us knew the impact of the pilot expiring and what that would do to our school system. Once we learned that, it certainly generated, generated a lot more interest in coming to agreement on a pilot. And just so for everybody listening, so we needed to have this done by November, or our concern was that was going to trigger another reduction in school funding, because that's sort of when the process starts for when the state calculates your wealth formula. And so it sort of triggered us to expedite our discussions, and just glad that we could come to a final conclusion and agreement on this pilot. So that it doesn't impact our schools. And the next step is, if you kind of gleaned out of the presentation, is because this pilot is retroactive to 23, now we're going to go to the state and argue that we should get our 22 million back, because technically the pilot is now in force for 23, and so that's our next step. See how successful we can be with that. But once again, just want to thank you all for your efforts and your partnership, and get this pilot signed, and we can all move forward together.
Excellent. Thank you, Chairman. Certainly wish you success with the negotiation and discussion with the state.
Yeah, we might need your help. We might have to call on George to come help us out.
I'm happy to support it.
Well, thank you. We greatly appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you all.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
And Commissioners, if I get a motion?
Yes.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt and approve the resolution in the First Amendment to the pilot and tax credit agreement as submitted by the Cove Point LNG LP, and authorize the President to sign the First Amendment on behalf of the board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we sign the amendment on behalf of the board. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Give me a pen. Thank you, whoever.
Daryl.
Thank you, Daryl. Next item on the agenda is part of planning and zoning amendments to the comprehensive plan and 3 town center master plans. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mary Beth Cook, Director of Planning and Zoning. With me today is Tay Harris, Long Range Planner. As you know, we've been working for quite a while on the update to the Calvert County zoning ordinance, and we released the second draft 2 weeks ago. So as part of that draft, we recognized that there are several items that needed to be updated in the comprehensive plan because state law requires that the zoning ordinance be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So we're here today to present those items and to get direction to take it to the Planning Commission to start the process of updating the comprehensive plan. The hope is that the process will go right in step with the update to the zoning ordinance because the comprehensive plan carries a 60-day review at the state level. We've worked that into our timeline and should still be on track to have the public hearing with the Planning Commission in November and the Board of County Commissioners in December. So Tay's going to read the memo to go over the items.
Okay.
On May 21st, 2024, the Board of County Commissioners directed the Department of Planning and Zoning to eliminate the architectural review committees for the county's 7 town centers. The intent of the BOCC is to streamline the development review process by allowing staff to perform administrative review in accordance with each town center's master plan and zoning ordinance. In addition, on August 20th, 2024, as part of the Calvert County zoning ordinance update, the board directed P&Z staff to allow a maximum of no more than 4 units per acre in town centers, unless the current allowable density is less than 4 units per acre. And lastly, the current draft of the Calvert County zoning ordinance update proposes to change the designated zoning category for 8 parcels. These parcels are currently zoned Industrial 1, Rural Community District, and Farm and Forest District. The change would rezone these parcels as Heavy Industrial District, I-2, and the goal is to provide flexibility for businesses that generate little traffic, create high-paying jobs, and substantially contribute to the county tax base. These properties are located in southern Calvert County near existing infrastructure, and each property is identified in Attachment A to the staff report. The above referenced requests may be processed as part of the ongoing Calvert County zoning ordinance update. However, amendments to the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan, as well as the Huntingtown, St. Leonard, and Solomon's Town Center master plans are also required. Pursuant to the Maryland Annotated Code, Land Use Article, Section 3-303, the zoning ordinance and the town center master plans must be consistent with the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan. So prior to amending the zoning ordinance, Planning and Zoning staff recommends amending the comprehensive plan and the necessary town center master plans to reflect the above reference requests. And processing these amendments will have minimal fiscal impact, and if there is any, it will be absorbed likely in the FY25 budget. So upon conclusion, the Department of Planning and Zoning is requesting that the board provide direction to initiate the amendment process to the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan, the effective town center master plans, and to schedule a session with the Planning Commission.
So I do want to say, one of the items there is to eliminate the architectural review committees. The reason we're doing that is because we can't get citizen participation. You know, we talk about all the time about all the boards and committees we have that have vacancies that we can't fill because citizens don't apply. Sometimes they apply, they don't show up. Part of the permitting process is you have to have an architectural review. The projects get held up because there's not a quorum at a meeting, so they get delayed. And so what we tried to do is figure out a pathway that doesn't impede projects, still provides input for architectural review. But that's the reason we're eliminating those review committees, is because we can't get citizens to participate. So don't want anybody to think out there we're just trying to get rid of, citizens' opportunities.
Right.
But that's the reason. If we had full committees, it wouldn't be a problem. But we've been fighting this issue now for years and just can't get people to show up. and participate. So that's why we're here today.
And to let citizens know, we're still going to do architectural review.
Absolutely.
It'll just be done in-house.
Yes.
Yep. Any other questions, discussion?
Have none?
Need a motion? I move that we direct staff to initiate the amendment process to the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan, the Huntingtown, Solomons, and St. Leonard's Town Center master plans, and to schedule a work session with the Planning Commission.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that we move forward with these proposed amendments. Any discussion on that motion?
None.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, all ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a work session, Department of Planning and Zoning Consolidated Transportation Program Tour. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Mary Beth Cook, Director of Planning and Zoning. With me now is Jessica Gaetano, and she is Planner 3 and does all of the transportation planning for the department. So we have the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Transportation coming in 2 weeks to do his annual tour, and Jessica's going to read the memo, and we can have a discussion about anything you want to discuss with the Secretary.
Good morning, Jessica Gaetano. Background, every fall, the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Transportation, or MDOT, Paul Wiedefeld, and the heads of the Maryland Department of Transportation's 5 business unit and 1 authority, including the State Highway Administration, Maryland Transit Administration, Motor Vehicle Administration, Maryland Aviation Administration, the Maryland Port Administration, and Maryland Transportation Authority meet with each of Maryland's 23 counties and Baltimore City. This annual meeting features a message from the Secretary and provides highlights from the current draft Consolidated Transportation Program, or the CTP. And it gives local elected officials the opportunity to comment and ask questions. The Maryland Department of Transportation's draft capital program is then finalized and submitted with the governor's budget to the General Assembly in January. Discussion. The CTP is Maryland's 6th-year capital budget for transportation projects. Last year, the Maryland Department of Transportation expressed major budgetary constraints and increasingly limited funding available to distribute for capital projects. This year's CTP prioritizes rebuilding the Francis Scott Key Bridge while improving transportation options to lessen the impact to the roadway network from the bridge being unavailable. The CTP promotes safety as a primary criterion in all their project supports and investments. Unfortunately, in this year's draft CTP, these safety improvements along the Maryland 231 corridor are subject to potential deferral, and that is subject to the System Preservation Program Fund allocations, which will be determined in the final CTP. Calvert County will continue to receive routine maintenance funding, which focus on pavement resurfacing, guardrail replacements, and traffic signal upgrades. So at this time, the CTP tour is scheduled for September 24th, 2024 at 10 a.m. during the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. The board will have the opportunity to discuss the draft plan, voice concerns, and future priorities in person with the Secretary and his representatives from the business units. So essentially, just here to go over some of the highlights. There's not really many highlights, unfortunately. In last year's, and go over also some of the things that we had asked for in last year's priority letter. In last year's letter, we did highlight some of the county's transportation achievements. One of the highlights included the adoption of the Calvert County Strategic Roadway Safety Plan. So with that, we expressed our gratitude for the continued funding and resources for the safety and geometric improvements on the Maryland 231 corridor, which of course at that time did remain funded. So again, at this time, it does remain unclear whether the 231 projects will continue to move forward. As I'm sure the board is aware, just in the past month, we've had 2 serious crashes at or near one of the proposed project locations, which is the 231 and 508 intersection, which is the Adelino intersection. So Staff is working with the sheriff's office and the state police to get some crash data for you before the secretary comes.
That would be great. I know even when I was running for Calvert County Commissioner, before I became a commissioner, the citizens along the 231 corridor, they're just horror stories with what they've had to endure. And to get back to their homes and put their blinker on, they're just so, because there have been so many crashes, they're frightened they're going to be part of a crash as well. So this is disappointing, but not surprising.
So are we able to get up-to-date crash data these days? That smile says no.
I'll
requested
continue
it.
to work, I'll continue to work on it.
Okay.
Depends on your definition.
No, there's always been a delay, and in all fairness to Jessica, there's always been a delay in getting that crash data, but, you know, with them going to an automated system, you would think it would be a lot easier to track.
So, Mary Beth, or I think did we identify when we did the study, what was that, 4 years ago? Was Adelina and 231 on that study? It was like 3 or 4 years ago when we did the whole county.
Yes, so
No.
Adelina 231 is proposed to turn a turn lane in.
Yes.
So that's one of the projects that's on the list. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, we did a whole study throughout the county and identify certain intersections as priority. You know, I just was wondering if Adelina was up on that list or not.
I believe what you're speaking of was the level of service study that was requested from SHA. And that was only on the Maryland 4 corridor.
Okay,
And those were
gotcha.
level
So
of
that's
service.
why I didn't-
But at that time, 231, all 3 projects were funded and moving forward. So I believe that, Mark, you please correct me if I'm wrong.
Mark Willis, County Administrator. Yes, sir. The, those projects were on there, specifically Adelina. It has a left turn lane now, but what they need is a wider bypass lane. There's a slope to the right of that they really had to survey out. So they've done that survey work, and that project, to my knowledge, is still moving forward.
So that project remained funded.
Not in the current
Well,
So what we were told at MACO when we met with the secretary was that, because the lack of revenue, projects were being reevaluated, and that if a project met the safety criteria, that project would move forward. I think that we were told in that meeting that they were gonna look at those projects, see if they met that criteria. I don't know that we've got a determination if they do or not. Mr. Director, you have something to add?
Commissioner Jared Cosgrove, Director of Public Works. I spoke with the District 5 office Friday afternoon about the 231 project. They currently show it as possibly being deferred in funding. District 5 has not got a word from Baltimore yet whether to move forward or not. So they're continuing moving forward with the design of these projects, but they haven't got a definite yes or no whether the money's going to be pulled or the funding's going to be pulled for these projects or not. So there's no clear direction from Baltimore going to District 5 what to do with these projects, but they're still moving forward and told otherwise.
I think the secretary told us that day that there's $1 billion shortfall in funding
Correct.
in transportation, so, they told us 9 months ago the 231 projects were moving, and then in July they told us, or August, they told us maybe not, and
Correct.
sounds like probably not. So the state's not gonna do any improvements to any of their roads, basically.
From the conversation I had on Friday, if any of them move forward ahead of the other, it will be the Adelina 508, 231, because they deem that a little more of a safety risk than, say, Skipjack, because that's one of the other projects.
And I think he said that that if it met the safety criteria, there was federal funding involved, which helped secure the project.
Correct,
But we're still waiting to hear if that's gonna happen.
correct. Maybe they'll have an answer at the end of the month for us.
We'll see.
Correct.
Do we know if there's been loss of life in the past few years along that corridor?
I don't know at those intersections. I know there was along, probably a couple of years ago, I think there was a head-on on the stretch between Skipjack and the bridge, but not at the intersection. I'd have to pull data and see. I
We'll
don't
have
know
that
off my head.
before the secretary comes for you.
Thank you.
So I don't know if I conveyed it properly, but the potential deferral, if you see on the
the funding pages is, there's a little asterisk, and it's throughout the entire draft document, and pretty much what MDOT has done at this point is said, we're not gonna tell you what you're getting until we finalize the CTP, essentially. So the purpose of getting this data to you guys is so that you can really push the secretary, at least for one of these intersections. So that's what we have. Nothing else has really gotten funded. I will say that at this point, let's see, the Department of Public Transportation for Calvert County has received funding for a feasibility study and site development to cover the National Environmental Policy Act and Title VI requirements. So that project does continue to move forward. I do want to bring your attention to a few typographical errors on our major project pages. I know that this is a draft document, but we do want to ensure that the project scopes are adequately conveyed. So, other than that, that's what we have for
It's
the
gonna be a short
secretary.
meeting
It's gonna be,
with
I
the
hope not.
secretary.
I hope not. When they come up, they say that their number one priority is safety. So, that's a leg that we can stand on.
Maybe we should take them through a tour of Prince Frederick, and check out the lights at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, bringing down Route 4, yeah.
Yes.
So to everyone involved, the intersection of Adeline and Sixes with the four-way stop, I think we've had one minor crash since we put that four-way stop into place. I hear a lot of positive feedback. Of course, there's some negative, but most of it's positive, and the most positive thing out of it for me is there haven't been any serious crashes there since that happened, so thank you all for doing that.
And I think I did get word that the commuter buses, they trimmed some routes, but that looks like that's gonna stay for next year.
Yes, they trimmed some routes and a few of the lots have gone away, the private lots, but yes, yeah.
Because originally the secretary told us that they might Band-Aid it for this year, but next year would be a problem, but for some reason now they think that that's gonna,
As far as I
Oh.
see, more additional funding went into that
commuter
budget.
buses. Yeah,
Yes,
yes. So that was helpful,
yes.
but anything else that costs money is in trouble.
That's right, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
That's what we can see in the pages, yes.
If you look at the list, I mean, some of this stuff is not, they're not big projects. I mean, we asked for a crosswalk at Dunkirk, between Dunkirk Park and the shopping center, because kids are running across that road to get to McDonald's, and, that's not a real big project.
So
'Cause-
SHA did perform a study on that, and they sent it to their Office of Safety, and they said that there was not enough data, so they're gonna go back in and do another study in the next year. We have not seen that study, so I can't verify it, but they have put eyes on it.
And I say it's not a big project, but, everything costs $1 million now, so for some
True.
reason, you can't do anything for less than $1 million.
That's right.
So,
When you talk about safety, we got something this week, Sunday. Calvert Library, in partnership with community agencies and residents, is offering 3 sessions entitled Surviving Route 4. Geez. Does that tell you something about safety?
We didn't pick the name.
we appreciate, and you're gonna fix the errors in the draft document before.
I'm gonna do my
2
best, yes. I've already made them aware, but I don't always get a reply, so. I
But we're
wanted
not
to
expecting.
Make you aware as
We're
well.
not expecting any big news in 2 weeks from the secretary, so,
No. Nope.
yeah. Okay.
Thank
But it
you.
is your
Any questions?
opportunity
Thank
to push for the 231, once I get that
Yes.
data to you, please.
And I guess we don't know cost, they don't have any cost estimates to do those projects, do we, Director?
I have not seen any cost estimate from them to date. I can ask for them. I don't know if they have them. I don't know if they're far enough along in the design of all 3. They might have them for the skipjack, because I think that design is further ahead. They might have them for Adelina. It's questionable, but I'll ask.
Yeah, it might be helpful if we knew what it cost.
Okay.
See what we're asking for, because, I think the last time when we talked about the last phase here in Prince Frederick from Fox Run up to, it was $50 million.
That's what they say, so, yeah.
Well, the problem is the further you push it down the road, the more it's gonna cost.
Yeah, but they don't have the money today, so.
Correct.
But yeah, that project went from, I think I heard originally it was like 18 million, and now it's up to 50.
But I'll send a message to District 5 and see if I can get some cost estimates.
Wait, you know,
So it does look like on the budget pages, it does give us a number for the 3 projects, which would be 12 million for Toy Lane and Mason Road, 14 million for the geometric improvements at 508, and 5 million for Skipjack Road.
man, that's just crazy.
Unbelievable.
$12 million to fix that. Oh my God.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Good luck
Thank
getting your
you.
data.
Thank you.
Our frog came back.
There you go.
Oh, we are. Public comment?
Can't, you're too early. Let's wait till 10:30.
So, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with my throat this morning. So we have, the next item on the agenda is public hearings, which we have scheduled for 10:30. Legally, we cannot hold those public hearings for 10:30. We really don't have anything else to do before 10:30, and we are concerned about holding public comment before the public hearings. So I think my recommendation is that we recess until 10:29 and come back and hold the public hearings.
Motion?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we do exactly that.
Second.
A motion, a second, that we recess until 10:29. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Maybe my throat will be better by then. morning, everybody. I need a motion to reconvene the meeting, please.
Make a motion, we reconvene the meeting of the BOCC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we reconvene the meeting of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So the next item we have on the agenda is a public hearing scheduled for 10:30. The first public hearing is the Department of Parks and Recreation Budget Amendment for the Capital Improvement Plan Project, Cove Point Park Basketball Courts. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Stephanie Sperling. I'm the park planner with the Department of Parks and Recreation. And there are 2 public hearings scheduled for today. All hearings were duly advertised, and the certificate of publication is made part of the record of each hearing. Citizens are invited to provide comment on any or all of the hearings after each presentation has concluded. Each of the 2 hearings will have a separate comment period followed by a brief presentation. Anyone here in person must sign in on the sheet next to the attorney to speak. The first public hearing, I'll be reading the memo, is for the purpose of considering and receiving comments regarding budget adjustment BA 2025-00073 and BA 2025-000-140, making available $400,000 for the repair of the Cove Point Park basketball courts. And I will read the memo now. Background. The basketball courts located at Cove Point Park in Lusby are over 20 years old, well-used, and highly prioritized for replacement. Drainage issues around the court are causing erosion problems that threaten the integrity of the court surface. In June 2023, the Department of Parks and Recreation submitted a Program Open Space, POS, annual program to the Board of County Commissioners, BOCC, for approval. The program was then forwarded to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, MDNR, and the Maryland Department of Planning, MDP, to maintain eligibility for POS funds. That was Title V, Section 5-905 of the Natural Resources Article of the Maryland Annotated Code. Along with the annual plan was a list of projects the county planned to request funding for the fiscal year FY24. These included Project D-4 for improvements to the Cove Point Park District, for the Cove Point District Park for $300,000 submitted in March 2024. The BOCC, DNR, and MDP approved the FY24 POS annual plan. Discussion. In March 2024, the Department of Parks and Recreation staff submitted a POS application to repair the basketball courts at Cove Point Park, including improving drainage, restoring the court surface and associated structures, and applying a court surface mural. In May of 2024, staff received a letter from the MDNR informing them that the Maryland Board of Public Works approved the request for POS local funds for $300,000. The POS local funds require a 25% match equal to $100,000. Department of Parks and Recreation staff, in coordination with the Department of Finance and Budget staff, have identified funding and capital improvement plan CIP-00057 that can be allocated for this project. CIP 00057 funds were appropriated for Cove Point Park development. Fiscal impact. The Cove Point Park basketball court project is assigned to capital project number CIP-000319. Budget amendment BA 2025-000073 has been created to move $100,000 from the Cove Point Park development project, CIP 57. Budget amendment BA 2025-000140 has been created to add $300,000 in grant funding. In our conclusions, recommendations, the Department of Parks and Recreation requests the Board of County Commissioners conduct a public hearing and, if deemed appropriate based on the record, close the record. Staff will return in 10 days to request the Board of County Commissioners approve and adopt the proposed resolution, Budget Amendment BA 2025-000073, to move $100,000, and Budget Amendment BA 2025-000140 to add $300,000 to CIP 0001319 to repair the basketball courts at Cove Point Park.
Very good.
That's a lot of numbers.
It is.
Any questions? Discussion?
Yes, I do have a question. So are we doing this in kind, or are we starting from scratch again, or enlarging this, or can you expand on this project a little bit, Robert?
Want me to go?
Go ahead.
So they are being replaced in the same footprint, but they are starting from scratch. Everything has been removed and is being rebuilt.
So same size and everything, same
Yes, sir.
number of courts and everything?
That's right.
Okay.
We're improving the access from the parking lots
Okay.
to the basketball courts. That's one minor change that will be made. And the other change, we're putting a full court mural on the two courts as well. So it will be really eye-catching, especially if you're at the pool in the summer, to have almost that bird's eye view to see just a great public art installation for Calvert County.
Courts get a lot of use.
They really do. They really do. And it's, we're trying to sort of reinvigorate the basketball program. And I think that this is just going to be, I think beyond even taking basketball players, when you see something like this, kids are going to want to play on it, don't touch the green kind of thing and like jump around. And I think it's just going to be just a great improvement for that park.
According to the master plan, is that the number of courts that are supposed to be there? Do you know?
I'm not certain.
The original master plan, there was an attempt to actually move the location of the courts, but it wasn't as fiscally responsible, so we were able to then address it by rebuilding with them in the current location.
Very good. You have anybody signed up to speak? I'm sorry.
We do. Shall I read this? The floor has been open for public comment on this hearing. Resolution 6-89 was adopted and is available here today to maintain the order and decorum of the governmental process. Those attending in person will be invited to speak first. For those joining virtually, if you wish to speak, please press *9 or use the raise your hand function. Virtual participants will be identified by their screen name or last four digits of their phone number and unmuted one at a time. Speakers will be asked to state their name and address. Speakers who are providing comment as individuals will be allocated 2 minutes. Speakers who are the designated representative of a group will be allocated 5 minutes. At this time, I'll check if anyone has requested to speak, and we have one speaker, Mr. Joseph Cormier.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joseph Cormier, and I live in Owings, Maryland. I'd like to offer my support for this budget adjustment. Project Open Space provides financial and technical assistance to local subdivisions for their planning, acquisition, and development of recreation land established by the Department of Natural Resources in 1969. This has been a longstanding important source of funding and support for Calvert County Parks and Rec, and providing a safe space for families, teens, and the community to play and grow together should remain a pillar of the Calvert County projects. From the closed tennis courts up in the Twin Beaches to the failing basketball courts down in Lesby, Calvert needs to assess their current state of fields and courts and the access available as our community grows for students with mobility issues as they grow and become young adults with mobility issues. We want to make sure that they have places in the community that they can play and work together with their peers. So again, I support this measure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is one caller on Zoom that has not raised their hand, so I believe that's everything.
Any other questions, discussion, motion?
I move that we close the record.
Second?
I have a motion and a second that we close the record. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I think we have another public hearing.
I think Karen's going to come up. Thank you.
It's Parks and Rec Public Hearing Day.
Yes, sir.
It's great for staff efficiency.
So good morning, Commissioners. I'm Bob Brand. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. The next public hearing is for the purpose of considering and receiving comments regarding budget adjustment BA 2025-000100, which has been created to address the rebuild of the Battle Creek Cypress Swamp Nature Center. So I will read the memo. Background: on November 5th, 2022, an electrical fire started in the basement storage room of the Battle Creek Cypress Swamp Nature Center facility, resulting in extensive damage. Based on initial assessments, all contents of the storage room, including all nature program equipment, materials, and supplies, were destroyed. Water and smoke have damaged other basement and animal care room areas. Upstairs offices, classrooms, and exhibit rooms also sustained smoke damage. Discussion: Local Government Insurance Trust, Legit, has provided an estimate for rebuilding the Battle Creek Nature Center after the fire. However, the building's design addressed the layout and Americans with Disabilities Act ADA upgrades required by new standards, requiring additional funding of $250,000 above the Legit estimate. Once the build is complete, the county can attempt to recover additional funds from Legit. The county must complete the rebuild by mid-December to meet the deadline for Legit to request additional reimbursement. The Department of Parks and Recreation staff, in coordination with the Department of Finance and Budget staff, have identified funding in the Capital Improvement Plan CIP 000047 that can be allocated to this project. CIP 47 funds were appropriated for Chesapeake Hills Golf Course improvements. Staff determined that it is in the county's best interest to complete the rebuild first, and any recouped funds through Legit can be transferred back to CIP 47. Fiscal impact. The Battle Creek Cypress Swamp Rebuild Project is assigned CIP 000429. The budget amendment, BA 2025-000100, has been created to move $250,000 from the Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Improvement Project's CIP 000047. The funding from the Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Improvement Project is not bond-related. Conclusion recommendation. Staff recommends that after taking public comment, the Board of County Commissioners close the record. Staff will return in 10 days to request BOCC approval of Budget Amendment BA 2025-000100 and request the BOCC sign the related budget resolution.
Anybody signed up?
Can I just ask you, Bob,
Yes, ma'am.
is there enough time to meet the mid-December deadline for the rebuild?
We are working expeditiously with Buildings and Grounds, and we're using on-call contractor. They're assuring us that they're going to push towards meeting that deadline. We've also talked with Risk Management. We may be able to request an extension on that date through Legit, but we would do that as we get closer in time. We wouldn't have to request that now.
Okay.
So we do have kind of a sliding deadline that there's a potential to extend.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I did have one more question, please. After removing the $250,000 off the golf course CIP, how much is left in that fund?
150,000. There was 100,000 this year and 50,000 remaining.
So is that, what other improvements are we going to take away from the golf course to get
So
to this
we're
point?
looking, we will prioritize some of the future projects. We're still looking to add the netting at the golf course and do some repair to the driving range. And then we have some irrigation projects that we may be doing, some of it in-house and delaying it a bit until we recover some of the funding.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Motion?
Before Mr. Cormier speaks, if the caller wants to participate in this public hearing, please press star 9. Mr. Cormier, if you identify yourself and whether speaking as an individual or for a group.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Joe Cormier. I'll be speaking on behalf of myself. I'd like to offer my support for this budget adjustment. I've attended field trips at the Learning Center at Cypress Swamp and enjoyed walking through the cypress trees on the trails of my family over the years. Once you get down in it, all the noise and hustle and bustle of Prince Frederick just fade away, and you can just immerse yourself in and amongst those trees. It's truly a unique experience in Calvert, if not all of Maryland. I fully support the upgrades to make the Learning Center and the trails ADA accessible. As with every county facility, we have to move past the idea that any space is grandfathered and work to ensure that they open accessible to everyone, regardless of their mobility or lack thereof. Additionally, if some or all of this $250 is recoverable from the insurance, then it makes even more sense to move on this now. And I'm sure the golf course can supplement the meantime by increasing their green fees, alcohol, and tobacco sales. I hope that you'll vote for this budget adjustment so Cypress Swamps can reopen and continue its mission of education and recreation. I just think it's funny that we have to have a public hearing and vote on something that's $250,000, but then we go to a pilot that's multi-million, multi-year. But I hope that you support this adjustment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No speakers.
Motion?
Make a motion to close the record?
Second?
Have a motion and a second to close the record. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to public comment.
Thank you, sir. The board adopted a resolution in 1989 intending to maintain the order and decorum of the governmental process. A copy is found here to my right. Persons are welcome to address the Board of County Commissioners on any matter germane to the business of county government. Those addressing the board shall not be uncivil, rude, vulgar, profane, or otherwise disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. All speakers must identify themselves, and whether speaking as an individual, you'll be allocated 2 minutes, or as the appointed spokesperson of a group, where you'll be allocated 5. For those attending virtually, if you wish to speak, please press star 9 or use the raise your hand function. The Ethics Commission's asked that we remind speakers of public comment that lobbyists include those who seek to influence public policy, and lobbyists must register in advance. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joe Cormier speaking on behalf of CCAC this morning. Long time no see. Calvert CCAC is getting ready to have our first meeting Tuesday, September 17th. It'll be a virtual meeting, and we'll highlight Sherry Tardio and the Calvert Mediation Center. You can find information about CCAC under the Calvert County Schools public website under Quick Links, and you'll see CCAC. We also want to talk about our Coffee with Kendi. Kendi is our Director of Special Education. She'll be hosting virtual book studies Saturdays from 9 to 10 on September's 21st and 28th, October's 19th and 26th, and November 2nd on a variety of topics. We are looking for members to join CCAC, and they can do that by emailing us or showing up to a meeting. We are looking for a secretary and 2 member at-large seats, so if you're in the community, whether you're a parent of a student or just a concerned member and you want to join the executive team, please reach out and let us know. Some calendar things. Saturday, October 5th, Calvert County Sheriff's Office will be having their Special Olympics torch run at Kings Landing Park starting at 8 a.m. Tuesday, October 15th will be our October CCAC meeting. Wednesday, October 16th, CCAC will be hosting a Board of Education forum at the Twin Beach Library from 6 to 9:30, or 6:30 to 9 rather. Wednesday, October 16th is the CCAC Board of Ed forum. Friday, October 18th, we're doing the What to Do During a Traffic Stop training. So it's open to anybody this year. You don't have to have a disability. If you want to come and practice getting pulled over by the Sheriff's Office, State Police, we'll be having lanes behind the Harriet Elizabeth Brown Center from 10 a.m. to 1 with more information on our website. We'll also have a resource fair inside the Harriet Elizabeth Brown Center from 10 to 1 with as many community resources as we can pull together. October 30th, the Parents Place of Maryland will be hosting an IEP clinic virtually, so if you have questions about your student's IEP or IFSP, please join us for that. And we continue to work with Dr. Brandon Temple and the Veterans Commission to make sure that every school is working on their Purple Star designation this year. We want to make sure that our support for military families continues to grow, and we know that our students with disabilities who are part of those military families have all of the different moves and changes. It's important to have a welcoming committee of students and staff to have those kids come in. So any support you can provide Dr. Temple to continue that Purple Star designation would be greatly appreciated. It's going to be another full year. Our staffing plan is tight. Our staffing plan is bare boned, and we as CCAC are concerned that 10 of our schools are being serviced by virtual speech pathologists. And so that involves a student sitting in a small room on a laptop with an instructional aid that we're paying for, and a virtual speech pathologist who's a contractor that we're paying more for because we couldn't hire enough speech language pathologists here in the county. So anything you can do to help, get a program in place that students will go through CTA, just like the nursing program, and want to be in these careers for speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, social workers, psychologists. I know student services and the local behavior health department are struggling to find enough people to fill those roles. And as we build out this student safety committee, mental health is going to be a big role. So I hope that we really, really focus this year with Dr. Townsend on making sure that we're hiring these specialists and getting them as part of the staffing plan. The amount of paperwork and the amount of process that goes in beyond just providing that 15 minutes twice a week of service continues to grow, and the staffing ratios that we've had in place for years just aren't cutting it. As we grow our buildings and we expect the same amount of building service workers to clean those floors and fill those filters, our speech pathologists are getting more and more work, but we're saying you can handle 60 hours of services, but there's so much more on the back end. So I hope the Department of Special Ed and Student Services and Dr. Townsend and Dr. Johnson really work this next year to come up with a hiring plan that's going to bring those people into our community, because our kids are getting the letter of the law, hopefully, but they're not getting what I think they truly deserve and need for that free and appropriate public education. And at some point, lawsuits are going to cost more than these bare bones staffing plans. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. President, the caller online has not raised their hand, so I believe that's it.
So that brings us to Commissioner reports. Commissioner Cox.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to keep in your prayers the family of D.O. Baker Jr., please. And also I attended the concert at Solomon's Museum. Jamie Johnson, well attended, very nice event, and weather was great.
It was. Commissioner Ireland?
So my wife and I also attended the concert in Solomons. It was, I mean, what a beautiful evening for a concert. It was good seeing all the friends and family there. And I'll tell you, a lot of times you go to a concert, they don't sound quite as good as they do on the radio, but I'll tell you, Jamie Johnson's voice projected very well at the Marine Museum. He did a great job. Also, this Saturday, the Chamber of Commerce is having an Experience Calvert event at North Beach Boardwalk. It's from noon to 5. If you have the opportunity to come out, looks like the weather's going to be nice. It'd be good to see you there.
When's boat docking?
Boat docking is Sunday.
This
Yeah.
Sunday.
This Sunday. It's a free event at Solomon's at the Waterman's Dock. It's very well attended. There's bleachers. Get there early if you want to see it on the bleachers because it's usually busting at the seams, particularly if it's good weather, which it looks like the weather's going to be nice for us.
Thank you. Commissioner Brasso?
On Saturday, I attended a 90th birthday party for Mrs. Jones at Bethel Church on Cherry Hill Road. Wonderful lady, been in the community forever, raised her 6 kids as a widow. She has numerous grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and 1 great-great-grandchild. Her 6 children did a beautiful job pulling this wonderful party off for her, so I was very happy to attend. It was a nice event.
Good. Thank you. So, and as was mentioned, we want to pass along our condolences to the D.O. Baker family. D.O. was a stalwart of the community, as I said, was a founding member of the St. Leonard Volunteer Fire Department. Viewing is there today at the firehouse, and it's just another county contributor, that pillar of our community, as Mr. Cox says, that we've lost. So we're all going to miss D.O. And today we're leaving here, we're going to CalVex, which is an emergency management drill. And we got the director from Emergency Management Services from the state coming down, and we're going to give him a tour of Cove Point while he's here. So, and just happy to get the Dominion pilot or Berkshire pilot behind us so we can move forward and get that worry off our tables, because we were concerned about how we move forward. And as I mentioned, there was some urgency because of what happened last year in the wealth formula, and some people will question what we did, but we were court date was pushed out until 25, and we could end up in court for years, and every year we're in court, the state's going to take that money from the school system. So we weren't in a very good leveraging position. So we did the best we could. So glad it's behind us. With that, I don't need a motion.
You don't?
Oh, I do need a motion.
To adjourn.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all, and you have a great day.